Alright. Getting out of the fucking parking lot first. I probably shouldn't start these reviews like immediate, and I always do. It's probably a little mistake of mine. I always start it like immediately when I'm leaving. Alright, so I just got out of the controversially... It's not controversial. Is it controversial when you say it like that? What do you think? It's got bad reviews, this movie. Ant-Man and the Wasp. Quantumania. Solid title. I know people think it's a stupid title. I mean, but it's like Quantumania. I mean, it makes sense. Whatever it is. So, basically, this movie was getting... I was reading a lot of great Twitter reactions once it first dropped out from the premiere. And then, you know, they have the social media reactions first. And then the big review embargo drops. And I start to hear not good things, really, about this movie. Not awful things. Everyone has basically pretty much said it's a mess, but it's not the worst thing ever, but it is a mess, and it's CGI overload, but hey, Kang is fucking great. That's basically everything I've heard, summed up into like one thing. I've heard a few people who really, really love it, but not many. I've also heard the select few people who absolutely fucking despise this movie. Those exist too. And then there's just a good, 70% of people are just very in the middle about this one. They're like, it's not awful, it's not great, I don't know what else to say. And I am in that vein. Honestly, I would love to say I have a completely different take on this movie. Let's have fun and discuss and get in depth. I'm gonna do a spoiler review because it's gonna be hard to do this review without spoiling anything, just on its own merit. But I am gonna do a spoiler review because I feel I'm gonna have to really talk about what I want to talk about with this movie. But this is a non-spoiler review. I'm on the road. If I do a spoiler review, I'm not gonna do it driving. This is just a basic discussion, my thoughts just after getting out of the movie. I went to a 9 p.m. showing after work. I went to go see this in IMAX with friends and my dad, and not friends of my dad, friends and my dad, if that wasn't clear. And I did have fun sometimes, and I was very annoyed and thought this was a fucking blundering, stupid CGI mess a lot of other times. So I guess let's start with the positives. Positive one, good first 15 minutes. We have a basic setup that leads us into our main thing. We have a basic setup, and this isn't a spoiler, but it starts opening in the quantum realm, and it's obviously a flashback level sequence with Michelle Pfeiffer. Cute little sequence. I'm not gonna say what happens in it, but it's a cute little scene. And then we have our first 10 minutes where we're on Earth. You've seen it in the trailer. He has the Baskin Robbins. They call that back, and they have all that shit. And it's fun. It's like a typical Ant-Man movie at the first 15 minutes. And then I'd say the first 40 minutes in the quantum realm, I was like, holy shit. This is a mess. And not because it's just CGI overload. There are good effects in the movie that are really cool and unique, and I'm like, that's fucking awesome. I've always wanted to see this be done in an Ant-Man movie. And then there are effects where I'm like, holy shit, what the fuck is that? That looks terrible. It looks like Spy Kids 3 green screen. Maybe not to that extent. That's overreacting, people have made that joke. But it does feel like that sometimes. And when it feels like that, you're like, holy shit. It catches your eye. You're attentive to it. You're like, this does not look right. In scenes like that when that happens. But yeah, again, I'm on the pros. Already getting fucking thrown off. Paul Rudd is great. That's a good pro. The rest of the cast is just kind of winging it, it feels like. Catherine Newton, it seems like she's trying, but I don't think her character is really well written. I hate to say she's a damsel in distress, but in a few sequences she is. And then she has one scene where it's a kind of freeing. You're like, oh, good for her, but she really does feel like that. And we don't have a lot of time to really focus on that. We also know, she has a suit. You've seen it in the trailer, and you know she's going to do some action herself. She doesn't know anything about the suit or really how to use it that well to its basics, and you're like, oh, so he's going to train her throughout the film. Really not. There's, one minimal sequence. It's everything is just kind of you have to fucking roll with it and deal with it. And at a point, I was just getting, kind of fucking sick of it. I was just like, this is kind of getting on my nerves. How many things we're just letting. There are plot holes upon plot holes here that I could talk about, but I don't want to do until I get to the spoiler review. And there are elements here that are just so messy because it doesn't open up anything. There's almost sorry about the lighting changing. It just gets dark in some areas of fucking roads here. But it doesn't make sense a lot of times. There are so many massive plot holes and openings of things that just do not come back to play. And then we change the story a lot. When we get into the quantum realm, it bounces around a lot, like back and forth between two separate groups. But in those two separate groups, we learn many different things, and we have many different plot elements. We're going from here to here to different elements, and it goes by so quick. I guess that's a benefit. The movie goes by quick, but at a point, it kind of is a headache because you're processing so much in just this like hour 55 minutes by the time the credits. It's probably even shorter than an hour 55 by the time the credits roll. Runtime, and you have to take it all fucking in. Literally the first act is like basic setup. It's kind of a CGI mess, and I was getting annoyed. Second act was pretty good, except it's just a lot of exposition, and that's just filler. And then we have a clusterfuck third act, giant battle finale, and it kind of feels like a mixture of like the final battle in like Rise of Skywalker meets like the final battle in Aquaman. And at times it worked, and at times it really didn't. Exactly why I'm really mixed on this film, because I want to get into the real pro of this movie, and that is fucking Jonathan Majors as King the Conqueror. His acting is great. The minimal development we get about his backstory and knowing why he's here is great, and it is a good exposition when we get that point, and that's great for Michelle Pfeiffer. Although I was getting annoyed with the character, like, just tell them what the fuck you are and who you are. Why are you so vague? Just tell everyone, and then everything would be solved. We could figure this out earlier in the movie, but you keep fucking dragging it on. I'm sorry, that's just me getting annoyed at Michelle Pfeiffer's character, not her performance. Her character is just fucking like so vague and does not tell shit when she should be telling people shit in the movie. But yeah. Jonathan Majors is great as King the Conqueror, as I've just specified. He is the standout, and if there's a reason you're gonna go see this movie, and there's a reason you should go check out this movie, it is for King the Conqueror, 100%. There's not many other reasons where I could be like, you need to see this movie, other than for him, because this movie is a giant setup, and again, that's kind of what a lot of Marvel movies are feeling like. I give benefit to like Shang-Chi, Black Panther, and I think Guardians 3 is really just going to be its like final conclusion trilogy film. I give benefit to those films because they feel like movies on movies. They have set up ideas, and they have little things here and there to set up, but they're not all just set up. This movie does feel like a big, grand setup for later films. Because they are trying to make this an Avengers scale film, because King the Conqueror is here. We know that's going to set up Avengers, King Dynasty, and Secret Wars. We know that that's where this is going. And it's cool to see Kang be this giant villain, and he's going to be our new big villain, and he's great in the role. And he is threatening in the role, and he is psychopathic and weird, but so calmly mannered, and it's just such an intricate character. And when you see him here, you're like, it reminds me of the character he played in Loki, but they're very different. And all these variants of him, when we get them, are going to be different, and that's what I really like. And I think it's going to be interesting. And again, Jonathan Majors fucking crushes it in the role. I keep saying it. He is amazing. He is the standout and the reason to see this movie. His performance alone is worth at least a matinee ticket. And if you're a Marvel fan, you're going to go see this shit anyway. Let's be real. I'm a Marvel fan. I was going to go see this shit opening night anyway. I see every Marvel film opening night. And just the thing is, it is one giant setup. It is a messy story. Michael Douglas is fucking winging it, bro. He is Jeff Goldbluming, Jurassic World Dominioning the shit out of this role. I'm not saying it's as bad of a movie as that. Fucking no way. That's a way more boring, shitty movie if we want to talk about Jurassic World Dominion. But yeah, I'm very mixed on this film. I don't want to give it a negative score because I had mostly fun, but I didn't have enough fun or enjoy the movie enough to say, like, this was great, this is a standout, you need to see this, like, 100%. Like, there are better Marvel movies. You could theoretically, I'd say, see this for a matinee ticket, or, like, maybe wait till Disney Plus. If you're not, like, the biggest Marvel fan, but you do see it all and you're just kind of, like, there for the ride, Disney Plus might be fine, or just winging it and later go for a matinee. But if you're a big Marvel fan, you're going to go see this in a big format in IMAX. I recommend for the big Marvel fans who do want to care. There are some visual moments that are great to see in IMAX, but overall, this movie is kind of a clustered mess. But Paul Rudd's funny. There's some good jokes. It has some good moments. It wasn't ever really boring, but it is quick. It is messy. It is CGI overload, and it can be really annoying at times. And I can't wait to talk about those more of those annoyances in my spoiler review. I will hopefully do that in like 4 or 5 days. I want to give people time to see this movie. But yeah, I'm gonna go see it one more time probably. This isn't one I'm gonna go rewatch a lot. Fuck, I suffered rewatching Thor: Love and Thunder 4 times, and that movie. This is better than that. If you want me to tell you that, I enjoyed this more than that. So if I gave Thor: Love and Thunder a 4 out of 10, this is like a 6 out of 10. I thought this was aight. This is aight. I didn't hate it. I think there are good elements here. It's not even the worst movie I've seen this year, but it is lower tier, and it's a bummer. I didn't like this more. I wanted something better. But at least I lowered my expectations when I heard what people were describing it as, and honestly, the trailers didn't really do anything great for me either. So, yeah, this is kind of just a lower tier Marvel film, but it's not the worst they've done. And yeah, if it interests you, go check it out. I'd give it a 6 out of 10. My review for Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. And yeah, that is it. Bye-bye.